Well, good afternoon, Sooner Nation. This is Mike the Legend and his co-host, Big Mike Boganowski Sr., who is on his way to Hayes, Kansas. His son is playing football today. Guys, do me a favor. I'm 14 away from 5. Been that way for the past 3 weeks. Hop out and give me a subscribe, guys. Let's get me to 500 so I can get my little monetization started. Texas fans, do the same. I don't care. It's that week. But Mike, how you doing today, brother?
Um, Doing pretty good. I can't complain. On 70 West, just past
Oh yeah.
the home of Brent Venables, Salina, Kansas, headed to
Mm-hmm.
Hayes.
Man, when I was driving the truck, I can't tell you how many times I traveled up and down I-70 across windy Kansas.
Oh yeah, not too windy
Well,
today.
do you know where Ulysses, Kansas is?
I don't.
It's kind of northwest of Liberal, little bitty,
Okay,
little
down
bitty
down
thing.
south. Yep.
I used to haul carbon black out of there to Mount Vernon, Illinois, and man,
Oh,
going across I-70 in the windstorm. Thank God I was loaded because man, there were overturned trucks all over the frickin' road.
yeah, yeah. I pulled my travel trailer down.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't very fun.
Oh yeah. Well, Mike, caught you earlier on today on Jason's show today. Man, what a crazy weekend in football Saturday.
Amazing, amazing. That was a good. That's the first time I've sat down on a Saturday and done nothing but watch football games. Been a
Mm-hmm.
long time since I did. Been a long time. I don't remember last time I've just sat down on a Saturday and watched nothing but football games.
Me too. I haven't done it since, but my dad's been passed away since 2016, and I haven't done it since Dad's passed away. And
Yeah,
man, the show started with A&M and Missouri. Boy,
that was a quick one. That was a quick one, boy.
boy,
That was a
I,
quick
I,
one, boy. Woo.
I tell you what, that game to me, that was my here's your karma, Missouri, for talking crap
Yeah,
all
yeah.
season long.
That was just what we needed as contrarians to what everybody thinks or Mizzou thinks of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
That
there's
game
another.
was a lot of quitting going on in the Missouri team. A lot of
Oh yeah, and we're looking at possibly another team this Saturday that's going to get humbled.
Yeah, I can see it happening. I can see that. Man, I'd like to say a fan base would get humble, but I don't know if they're humbleable, if that's even a word.
No, that you know what we could beat Texas 50 million times and they would still. Which OU fans is the same way. I'll give it that, but Texas fans they're second to Missouri fans in my book. Lost Big Mike. He'll be back in a second. He's traveling. Well, chat, we only got 3 in, and usually y'all stacking it up for today. Where you at? Make some noise.
Yeah, there we go. I had a
Where?
little lapse in
Oh,
coverage right there.
it's all good, Mike. I know about that shady cell phone service on I-70, brother. I but anyway, like I said, and another one of my little here's your karma moments in Missouri was watching Caden Green get smoked all day.
Yeah, man, he was getting the business. He got
Yeah.
smoked on the field and smoked on Twitter.
Yeah. How about that A&M defensive player sending the blanket to Theo Weiss?
So yeah, they A&M said they had nothing to do with that, and the head coach said he thinks that was a Drinkowitz tactic, try to motivate him, which
Ah,
makes sense. Which makes sense to me because I don't know how A&M, unless they had a mole at the hotel or something, knew what room the kid was staying in.
yeah. Yeah,
But
that
yeah,
wouldn't I wouldn't put it past Drink doing that, Mike, because
uh,
that
oh
dude,
yeah, he's a dork.
he's weird. He,
Yeah,
he reminds me. Do you remember that old Colorado coach back in the early 2000s? I can't
Neuheisel.
remember. I don't think it was him. It's
Oh,
the Colorado coach that said this ain't the intramurals, brother, or something like
oh,
that.
no, I
But
don't remember.
Drink reminds me a lot of him. And
Listen, I've sat in that dude's living room and listened to him talk, and it took me all of about 5 to 10 minutes to be like, all right, this dude ain't. I don't know what it is about this guy, but I tuned him out.
yeah,
Tuned him out quick. Tuned him out
yeah,
quick. He's living in an alternate universe, man. It's pretty
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. He's living back into peace, love, not war.
I just couldn't get football coach from him. You know, I didn't
Hmm.
get football coach vibes. I'm not saying he's not a football coach, but to me, that's just not what I want in a coach. And I think my son felt the same way. I know my wife did.
Uh-huh.
She was like, yeah, he had a nice house though. I'll give him that.
Yeah. Good afternoon, First Lady. Good afternoon, Garrett. Thank y'all for hopping in with us today. Uh, but yeah, man, I tell you what, Texas A&M just had their way with Missouri all game.
Yeah.
It,
Oh yeah.
it that game gave me the vibes as, you know what, ain't no way Missouri's going to win this game.
Yeah. I kind of went, well, see, I watched every snap of that game just because I was enjoying that that mid-two butt whooping. But I coming out of the second half, I was like, all right, let's see if Missouri can get a stop and get into that game. Nope, didn't
Nope,
happen.
nope.
Didn't happen.
And
But yeah, I hope that was just a Texas A&M fluke, man, because they look good. And
yeah, they did.
that D line and O line was getting after them, man. And if that's how they're gonna play week in and week out, man, that's scary.
Yeah. And I will say this, that out of all the A&M coaches and I've seen a bunch of them, that Mike Elko is probably the better of the coaches I've seen at A&M,
Yeah,
2000 to present. And
I liked him. I liked him at Duke.
I did too.
Talked to him on the phone a couple times. Um, we never made it out there for a visit. I'd have liked to though. But
Hmm.
yeah, it was a little far, a little expensive.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a good. I was impressed with him. I was impressed.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And then little old Alabama goes to Vanderbilt.
Little Nashville, Cashville,
Good old
Tennessee.
good old guitar town. And
Oh yeah,
boy, what did Vanderbilt have waiting on Alabama? My God. That
yeah.
was I tell you what, Mike, that in all of my upsets in college football, including the App State win at the big house against Michigan, that one Saturday is probably in my top three.
It's up there. It's up there.
Yeah.
I was really rooting for Vandy. They got a couple. They got a couple kids that are from my alma maters. A couple
Hmm.
coaches, Coach Kill, Coach Beck. And they had the quarterback Pavia, obviously, and Stowers,
Oh yeah.
the tight end, the one that caught a couple big passes and some shovel passes. But yeah,
Hmm.
I'm glad to see them do well, and got that. went in there and got the biggest upset probably of the century.
Yeah.
Might
And
be
and I'm
one
not
of the biggest upsets of the century, not the decade for sure.
and if there's Alabama fans out there, guys, I'm not throwing any shade at Alabama at all because I've always supported the Tide. I've always supported the Dogs. I've always supported but seeing how and what impressed me about the whole game was how that Coach Lee for Vanderbilt, he never did take his foot off the gas.
No, no, they. I was in. I was actually really impressed with the defense of Vandy. Other than a couple passes to that phenom they got down there, that minor,
Mm-hmm.
the kid that can't even vote yet. You know,
Yeah,
I mean, that
man,
kid is impressive, man. He's scary. But
he is.
other than a couple lapses on that guy, man, they played really good.
Yeah,
Turned the ball over, had a pick six. I mean, they played good.
they did. Now, and this is where Texas fans are going crazy. They play Vandy, and
Yeah,
Vandy ain't going to be a cakewalk.
no, not at all. Not at all.
And it would not shock me that if Vandy did beat Texas.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. Dude, I'm not shocked. Like I seen it coming, and I think if you paid attention, you could see, Vanderbilt playing playing some games. Playing good football. They let Missouri off the hook. They
Yeah, in Boston College.
but, yep, Boston College too, and went and got was that Virginia Tech the first game of the year. So I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you could see it coming, and you got to take them serious. The Pavia,
Yeah,
he's gonna battle, man. He's got what it takes. He's got the moxie. He's
yeah.
a he's good, man. He don't quit. He don't quit,
Oh
man. He
my
puts it
God.
all out there, and that 4th and 1 where he just slid in the pocket a little bit and launched it down into the end zone, and that was a hell of a play. Hell of
That
a play.
was. And you're right. How do you say his last name again, Mike?
Pavia.
Pavia, Diego Pavia. That
Yeah.
kid is a firecracker. I
Oh man,
mean,
I love it. I love it.
I
He's a legend in New Mexico State, man. He's a legend.
oh yeah, I can see why. I mean, he's very not colorful, but he's very animated.
Oh yeah, the F-bomb on national TV was pretty legit. Loved
Yeah.
it. But if you,
Oh yeah.
I'm not gonna put his dirt out there. But if you go out there and look at some of the stuff he did while he was at New Mexico State, it was pretty epic.
Mm-hmm. That uh yeah. And but like I said, Mike, my God, I mean, Vandy Vandy just went out there and played with a purpose.
Yeah, they came after him, man. They put it to they were a more aggressive team. They went
Mm-hmm.
after. I don't know if Alabama just thought that them showing up they were going to get the dub, but that ain't the case, man. And every other team better watch out. Better get
Yeah.
ready.
And
And
there
the
again,
most savage part was them playing that quote from Saban on the McAfee show, right there in the south end zone of the Oklahoma Stadium, where he said it was one of the easiest places to play.
hey Mike, we got a guest coming on with us. We have
Here we go.
Ty Hayes. We have Ty Hayes from Around the Table Sports. My good friend. Ty, he's on the phone with us. This is Michael Boganowski Sr. Mike, this is Ty Hayes from Around the Table Sports. Ty,
Pleasure to
how
meet
we
you.
doing today, brother?
Good to meet you, Mike. Good to meet you. Hope your day and hope your weekend treated you well. I apologize about being late. That's on me. I was out back studying for the LSAT. Had my phone on Do Not Disturb as I was doing some practice questions, looked up and realized, oh, wow, time really got away from me. So I apologize about being late.
No
Well,
apologies. Sounds
Ty,
like you had your priorities in order.
I'm attempting to. My wife might disagree with you there, but I certainly appreciate that.
Ty, did we have to do a welfare check on you a Saturday after the Bama Vandy game?
You might need to do a welfare check on me even now. Yeah, it's wild, right? I mean, one that I think illustrates this college football season. Correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen. If you can think of a season where there looks to be more parity than what we saw this past weekend in this season, 2007 comes to mind for me in terms of this season's real wide open. There are some teams that I think are very, very good football teams. But even the teams that I think are very, very good, we still are in the learning process about them. I think Texas is a very good team. I think Ohio State's a very good team. Then you have other teams that are very good in terms of like Alabama, but it's interesting. Alabama may hold the best win in college football right now, and simultaneously, easily one of the worst losses. I'm looking at you, Notre Dame. Thank you for losing to NIU. That does take a little bit of the heat off of Alabama. But, I mean, look, you're not going to find me mincing words about it, right? Bad loss, no adjustment. The thing that's so wild about that game, gentlemen, is Alabama possessed the ball for 17 minutes as opposed to Vandy's 42 minutes and was still 5 points off with 2 turnovers, a real bad penalty where that's just inexcusable. That's on coaching. You had 2 number 2s on the punt return, and they're trying to figure out who the guy is at punt return. I say just let Cole Adams do it because he's very good. And Ryan Williams, if y'all didn't know, is only 17 years old. I bring that to you because I just don't want him. And that's a joke, right? There's this notion in college football, take a drink every time you hear Ryan Williams is 17. I want him taking as little unnecessary contact as possible right now because he's so gifted, because he's still so young, because this is SEC ball, this is college ball, and because he's wide receiver 1 right now. Let somebody else handle punt return. And then you don't run into that. So, no, the wellness check extends into today, unfortunately.
Well, you know, Ty, before you came on, Mike was saying about what's his name again? The drink 17-year-old wide receiver.
Yeah, Ryan Williams.
Ty,
one of the best players I've ever seen. I mean that genuinely.
Can you imagine when this kid finally gets developed and has a season or 2 under his belt?
What he is able to do is insane. And you even heard Kirby talking about like, oh, we knew he's fast, right? I don't know if y'all heard, but the sports science department at Alabama was talking about he gets up to top speed in like 1.5 seconds or something like that. And he already has recorded, as a sophomore in high school, mind you, a 10.39 100-meter dash.
Good
so
Lord.
You even heard Kirby talking about like, well, we wanted to respect the speed, so he played off of him. But then he even got on top of our best defensive back, Malachi Starks, when we did play off of him. They tried to press him, and when they tried to press him is when he got the game-winning touchdown. He has an unbelievable ability for someone 175 pounds to beat press. That's still the one thing I think that any young wide receiver, this isn't just him, any freshman wide receiver, I think that's probably the thing you need to learn and continue to develop once you get to the college game is beating press. Just because you could be going up against a guy, especially now with the extended seasons. I mean, no shade to Cam Rising, but I'm fairly certain he's about to be able to pull from a retirement fund and he's still playing college football. That guy's going to know how to press you, right? I don't care how good you are, guys like that. So if he continues developing that, his route running ability, sky truly is the limit. I don't know that I've ever seen a 17-year-old do this. I'm sorry, Mike.
He's gonna be in the NFL before he's 20. Like,
that's insane.
Enjoy it while you can because he ain't lasting more than 2 years. That kid, nobody can guard him, and there's just nothing you can do. He's one of them dudes, right? And he's going to be at Alabama 2 years, and he's going to be a top 10 draft pick.
And what scares me about the situation, we got to face him in Norman toward the end of this year.
Yeah, oh yeah,
you know?
Scared. There ain't nothing you can do about it, man. You just hope he doesn't break one for 70 on you.
Yeah,
Right.
at a
And
certain point, I think you just got to roll the dice. And listen, I'm no coach. I'm no defensive coordinator. Thank God for that, because if I was your defensive coordinator, you'd be firing me in a heartbeat. But I think that at a certain point, teams are just going to have to bracket him, right? Like you're going to have to keep a safety over top and say, we got to have someone else beat us. And the room still has talented wide receivers, but if I'm a defensive coordinator, I'm just telling Bama, like, you're going to have someone else beat us, because I'm having 2 on him the entire time.
Yeah, it's got to happen. And yeah,
well,
you're not even guaranteed you're going to keep the top on him. You're not even guaranteed, because he's got that kind of elite speed where he could still beat that safety over the top.
And even if he beats you underneath, his ability with the ball in his hand. I mean, y'all saw the game-winning play, but in the it was the first quarter against Georgia, he had an option route where he was in the slot and he could have broke it for a seam, or he had the hitch available to him. Well, he saw that the defensive back was going to play stat coverage, and he said, all right, if you want to play stat coverage, I'm here to take the easy yards. He broke it off into the hitch. They get him the ball, and he put that Georgia DB on skates. I mean, broke his ankles and just kept going. So he's a handful. It's wild when you reclassify and you're still a top 5 player in the nation after reclassifying.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Ty, I've heard Shoddy Parker say this about receivers and running backs eating up them little bitty hash marks in between the yard. Ryan, there ain't no hash marks. I mean, he's
no. And that's, I think, the thing that's so crazy about him is that you can play him at slot, outside, like you can play him everywhere. And even that trick play they did on 4th down against Vandy, it's one of those where it's like, if you get it, you're a genius. If not, you're going to get raked through the coals, wherever it was almost the reverse. And he just got it. And those Vandy DBs, the Vandy linebackers, they couldn't contend with the speed. Once he got a step on him, it was over, touchdown. Like you said, Mike, he is a player that I hope not only Bama fans, but college football fans enjoy the talent while it's here. Another guy like that is Travis Hunter. I mean, I sit back and watch Travis Hunter in zone coverage, and sometimes you hear people say, oh, he's a zone back, and it's almost like a diss to a DB. When you hear that about Travis Hunter, it's not. He has the ability to play man, but his football IQ on zone, to be able to break off of one assignment, go to another, it's special. Enjoy those type of players while they're in college football, because Mike, you put it best, they're not going to be there long.
Nope, not at all.
Ty, I feel your pain about the Vandy loss, because I go back in my career as a Sooner fan, pumping my chest the week of playing Stanford, and John Elway put on a passing clinic in Norman, Oklahoma, and throttled us bad. So I feel your pain, Ty. I really do.
Yeah, the only thing that lessens the blow is you have the Georgia win the week before. I think that the AP was even – listen, I know that there are some fans who are like, oh, well, Bama should be above Georgia. Yeah, they have the head-to-head, but you also have the worst loss, right? And that means something. So Bama's still in a good position for a 12-team playoff. But, gentlemen, make no mistake, there's a lot that needs to be cleaned up for the Tide, and I'm excited for Saturday against South Carolina, an opponent that – going into the season, I wouldn't have told you would be one to circle after, and not even the Vandy game. If Alabama would have beaten Vandy, I would still be here telling you circle that game. Their defensive front is good, really good. Mike, I have a question for both of the Mikes right now, Mike and Mike. Y'all need to start the Mike and Mike in the morning podcast, right? Like take up
hashtag Mike and Mike on Mondays.
Yeah, that needs to start. When was the last time y'all saw a freshman class in college football this good?
As far as
it's been a while. Are you talking about all college football?
Just all college football.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch, man. It's wild. It's wild. It is something else. Like I don't know if I've seen it. And I mean, we're looking at quarterbacks too. Like I think I was listening to somebody the other day say there's 5, that are playing right now.
And playing well.
Yeah, and there's offensive linemen. Like that's crazy. Usually your offensive lineman ain't ready. I think that what's the big one out there in Colorado.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Jordan
I mean,
Seaton.
like, yeah, there you go. That's his name. Yep. They're you got. I mean, Oklahoma's got a defensive lineman starting.
Yeah, Jaden Jackson,
You
Yeah.
monster.
know, that's just that just goes to show you how well some of these schools and these programs are preparing kids because
Yeah.
that wasn't the case 10, 15 years ago. Freshmen on the
No.
line, like you got to get ready. You got to get yourself ready, and these kids are coming in ready, and it's really impressive.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
speaking of that, y'all have one this weekend. Colin Simmons rushing off the edge for Texas. I'm
Yeah,
sorry, OU fans.
Yeah.
Put the earplugs in. Don't kill me for what I'm about to say. He's
No, you're
another
good,
one
Ty.
where it's like that young man is unbelievable. I mean, he's so good coming from Duncanville, going to Texas, probably at their biggest position of need in the offseason was what are we going to do on the back end? I know that all the conversations revolved around those interior monsters that they lost. But when we look at what PK wants to accomplish, really it's the Jack and X linebacker that are most pivotal to that scheme. What do? They get Trey
Hmm.
Moore. They get Colin Simmons, both guys playing. It's like Brent Venables. Brent Venables' defense, you have to have those guys on the front to be able to
Hmm.
successfully play it. Y'all go out and get a Dominic Williams. You get a Jaden Jackson who comes in and are instant difference makers that allows the fluidity of the defense to really take hold. You get you have a Boganowski, right? I mean, like what they've been able to do in this freshman class and these classes with Brent Venables, identifying needs and then going out and getting it. It's one of the reasons why I've continued to say, Bishop, happy to see you, my man. It's one of the reasons why I've continued to beat the table and argue with people that no, Brent's the guy. His
Yeah.
ability to identify a need and then go attack that need, it's
Hmm.
impressive. And it is the reason why, though I have some questions offensively, I don't question the defense. And a lot
No.
of the questions offensively, let's be honest, it's due to injury, it's
Yeah.
due to lack of continuity. Those are better questions to have than lack of ability.
Right.
And I'd take those questions every day.
Yeah. Yeah. And Ty Bishop. Ty, you know the bishop. Bishop is the official chaplain of Sooner Legends podcast. Welcome aboard, Bishop.
Big salute.
I
Big
need
Yeah,
all the
salute, brother.
prayers, Bishop, after what
I,
happened last Saturday.
hey, I definitely understand. Hey, I think that we can all agree that the 12-team playoffs has taken college by storm, and you're starting to see how important it was to go to that.
Yeah, well, I'm
Yeah.
certainly happy now.
I
Well,
definitely
Ty,
understand that.
I am going to address the elephant in the room, which is Oklahoma's offense.
Mhm.
And you came on with me and Oni Kuno early this year, and I agreed with you that our biggest question going into the season was our offense. But Ty, here's the thing, and trust me when I say this, brother. I've got the crimson glasses off. I'm looking at the big situation that as you see this broken leg offense of ours, you see them getting better each week, each week, each week. And something is telling me maybe it won't be Texas, maybe it will be the next game. Who knows? But at some point, this offense of OU's is going to break loose.
I
Yeah,
got a
there's
I got an assessment for you here on the OU offense.
Go
And
ahead, Mike.
when we were running, our offense with Jackson Arnold was a run pass option, right? And I think what you're
Mm-hmm.
seeing now is we're going away from run pass option to more of a zone read concept, which is going
Mm-hmm.
to allow our offensive linemen to be more aggressive in their pass or their run blocking. They don't have
Right.
that threat of being downfield and the quarterback pulling the ball out. And I think that makes a big difference in the psyche and the mentality of an offensive line. And I think now that we got our guys, our offensive line, the five that were projected and should be starting, I think it's only going to get better. And that zone read is going to be effective. And I think you'll see a little bit more success this week in the OU rushing attack.
Yeah, and one of the things that I've been of the mindset of is the other question I had, and Mike, you can speak to this because I said it on that podcast with you and Oni Kuno, was Seth was an interesting hire to me. I say that because I'm a UNT alum. Okay. I went to a lot of the games and I was always in this weird space whenever they fired him because I was like, UNT's not good. And he was exceeding expectations, but at the same time, Mike, I've told you this. I went to a game with one of my mentors, who is one of the chief executive officers of the Military Warriors Support Foundation, and we left at halftime because it was painful to watch. The lack of discipline, the lack of just anything. I think they broke the NCAA record for the amount of flags. I don't actually know that. I stopped counting at 13. And we hit halftime, and I was just like, this is painful. But what I will always concede here is this. There's no way for me to adequately judge Seth Littrell thus far at OU because of the amount of injuries. I mean, you put yourself in his shoes, and it's like, okay, I knew we'd gone through fall camp, and this is what I wanted to do. Then you have all the guys get hurt, and that changes the script. Then you change quarterbacks. Well, that changes the script once again. And now I think with Hawkins, unbelievably talented young man. Mike, you'll know this. Bishop, you'll know this because you saw the video. Mike Boganowski, you may have seen my video on it as well whenever he committed to OU. Thought he was underrated. I thought that easily a top 100 prospect was what I was seeing out there. And so I think you're seeing that now. If I'm Littrell going against Texas, because Texas right now, they're, like I said, they're a good team. They're a really, really good team. I'm telling the young man, hey, we go where you go. If you have a freshman moment, all good. But I'm giving you the playbook. Let's ride, because at a certain point, you're going to have to grow them in the fire.
Yeah,
and,
you are.
And I think that as the offensive coordinator, you just tell them, hey, if they switch coverage last second and you haven't seen that before, maybe there's an interception, no worries. Attack next drive. We have a great defense. Attack next drive, because he's got the moxie, right? And I know some people don't like that, but listen, as an Alabama fan, we just got beat by a quarterback that had that similar moxie that Baker had, where it's just this unbelievable belief in self. I'll take that. I'll take that as a leader of a team. And Hawkins seems to have that. Turn the offense over and just say, ride. You make a mistake, no worries. It's an opportunity.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. And Ty, I've said this to you, talking to you on the phone, that Mike Hawkins is probably the best quarterback for the situation that OU is on offense, because I think he can ad-lib a little better than J.A. Did you see that clock that they put on him on that first touchdown he run against Auburn?
Unbelievable.
4.42 once he broke out of the secondary. Well, hello, Senior Surge guys. Good to have you. But anyway, Mike just brings that X factor, and he's, like you say, did you see the way he was sparking that offense throughout that Auburn game? I mean, he was, dude, can't ask for more than that.
Definitely. And we also know that, Kevin Murray, Kyler's dad, has been the one that's been tuteling him and being his quarterback coach. So what we're actually getting to see is someone who's already been put through the fire, so he's ready for this moment.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, go ahead. Mike.
I got to get a shout out to Scott Ross. He's from Longhorn Nation. He gave me a subscribe. Thank you, Scott.
Nice.
I appreciate that, brother. And welcome to Senior Legends Podcast. I'm long in the tooth. I'm getting old, but welcome to the family, Scott.
All
Hey,
right.
Scott, tell all your friends if it's a hate subscribe for Hate Texas Week, he's good with that. We got to get him
Yeah,
13.
Yep.
yeah, we're 13 subs away from 5.
There you
Give
go.
us a dislike. Give us a dislike. We don't care. Let's get this party started, man. I'm loving this now.
Yeah.
But
But
anyway, go ahead.
go ahead, Mike.
I will tell you this. Looking at what I've seen with Hawks so far, is I see a little bit of spark in that O line coming back,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
you know, and he's being a freshman quarterback, I seen him do this. He ain't afraid to get up in your face when something, if you miss a pass or don't, he'll get in your grill. Don't worry, Scott. We won't tell your friends about this, brother.
I will.
I will, though.
But panel, the simple fact is what you're starting to see is these young men in this 7-on-7, the type of leadership that's being built, plus they're getting quarterback coaches earlier, is just showing dividends right now, to where now if they come in, they are ready, and long as you allow to build the offense around them, they can go to levels that haven't seen.
Shout out to Shotty at Just My Damn Opinion. Hello, Shotty. But Texas and Oklahoma fans, guys, I'm going to tell y'all this. This is my 54th consecutive Red River shootout. And in them 54 years, one thing hasn't changed, is you can just throw away what happened to the games leading up to the Red River. Throw away the stats, throw away the scores, this, that, and the other. Because that Cotton Bowl has a different set of football gods that literally has a way of showing you a different football game. Gentlemen, what y'all think?
So I got a question. I mean, I've
Yeah.
watched the Red River rivalry. I've watched it, but I'm into it now, right? So is it shootout or rivalry? Is it Red River
It will
rivalry or
always
Red
be
River shootout?
shootout to me.
Because I've
They
seen it
tried to
thrown
go.
around, and I'm just curious.
Hey, it's
I've
both.
seen it's both. They went politically correct and stopped calling it the shootout and called it the rivalry. But it's muscle memory in me
Yeah,
because it's always been the Red River shootout to me. So
I like
yeah.
that. If they went PC, I'm for the shootout. Then we're bringing it back.
And just think about it. It's the only stadium where it's half red and half orange.
Yeah.
but I will give a shout out to Texas fans. When you go to that game, after the game's over, no matter who wins or loses, that state fair, man, is lit. Texas fans, Oklahoma Sooner fans, it's a ball at that state fair after the game.
Yeah.
But getting back to the game, Ty, would you agree? And believe me, you know more about this than I do, but would you agree that another X factor in the game Saturday is OU's entire defense, or at least the front seven? The front seven, we'll say the front seven.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Texas is, and this, I hate to say this, man, because I'm a big CJ Baxter fan, right? Like, the young man is so talented. I hated hearing about his injury, and I hate hearing about how injured that running back room is. I say this all the time. I'm an Alabama fan. I don't care if you play for Auburn. In my perfect scenario, Auburn goes through a complete season with not one critical injury. They lose to Alabama, and Alabama goes through the season without a crit. Like, I don't want anybody being injured because all these guys are trying to pursue excellence. They're trying to pursue a dream. And the injuries are just an unfortunate reality of the game we love. And if I could change one thing about football, it would probably be that, to where it's still a physical game, but to where guys aren't injured. being able to hamper their running game is going to be big because everybody, when you hear about Steve Sarkisian, you think that he's just this guy that throws the ball around the yard. And he has beautiful pass concepts. I have never hid my affinity for Sark as an offensive mind. I mean, some of the most beautiful concepts I've ever seen came that 2020 season when he was at Alabama. Do y'all remember the plays he used to run with Devontae Smith, where he would have Devontae Smith block for another wide receiver, and then on the fourth time of showing you the same look, Devontae Smith would go to engage the block, go off of him, and then just go on a go route, and Mac Jones would throw it over the defense, and he lulls you to sleep. But the way he does it is a lot of play action and a lot of running the football. So being able to stifle that and feel confident that we don't have to bring extras along the line of scrimmage to account for your run is big. And that's where OU's front seven, to me, is going to be the difference for this Oklahoma team, both offensively and defensively, because if you can handle even the threat of the run just with your front guys, it allows for your secondary to have a little bit of help there. And that's that's not for just OU. That's anybody playing a Steve Sarkisian offense. And really, that's a fundamental truth of football, right? If you don't have to pull more resources, you're better for it. It's one of the reasons why Tennessee was such a fascinating schematic matchup, because they want to spread you real wide to get some advantageous matchups, especially if you have to pull a guy in the box to account for their running game. Well, now you got a bunch of guys on islands in no man's land. And that's what Heupel wants to do. Sark doesn't go about it the same way, but in theory, it's a little bit similar to, if I can get a light box, I'm going to run. And so to me, it's all about stopping their rushing threat and attack with that front.
And I tell you what, I've been saying this since game one when OU started. God bless Zach Alley.
No doubt. No doubt.
That was he. You know, he's a Brent Venables mini-me. Coaches talks everything like him, but seeing his defensive schemes, even though we lost to Tennessee, I mean, he was still playing aggressive on defense. That just, you know, that he was throwing everything at him but the book. And Ty and Mike and Bishop, I'd like to get y'all's thoughts. If OU's offense was even a quarter to a half as good as the defense, would this OU team not be a scary team?
No ifs. There's no ifs.
There's a reason why I said in our pregame video, whenever y'all went to play Tennessee, that I wished, just from a matchup, not even accounting for injuries, just because there was so much new, I wish Alabama played OU when Tennessee did, right? Because I was like, well, there's such a lack of continuity on that offensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
If you want to play OU, play them early, because as they start figuring things out, they're going to be a better team. Offensive line, it goes without saying, right? Offensive line. How many times, gentlemen, have we looked and it's like, oh, our offensive line isn't very good. You're saying this game 2 or 3, and by the end of the season, it's like, no, we've got a solid offensive line. It's because it's a position group that has to gel together. I mean, you can't just play musical chairs and expect to win a Joe Moore Award.
Right.
And a prime example is the first year that Bill Bedenbaugh put Tyler Guyton on the front line. And Mike, what's your thoughts about OU's offense being half as good as the defensive movement?
I mean, I think you've seen a little bit of it already in Auburn. You know, if we can, you know, we popped a couple 10, 12-yard runs. You know, made the defense respect us. And, you know, I think, if we keep the ball and don't give it away, we're going to be held to beat on it, you know, against anybody. You know, just because our defense is so good, they'll keep us in the game. And as long as we ain't shooting ourselves in the foot, I think we'll be good.
I tell you what, this is making me pull my hair out to where I'm as going more bald than I already am now, is we need to play more disciplined. And when we get positive yards, don't get no stupid holdings, don't get no illegal blocking the backs. Keep them doggone flags to a minimum, because we did. If you watch that Auburn game, we had a bunch of positive yards called back because of
Yeah.
stupid. Now
There was.
I'll admit
Let me
there
tell
was
you something, man. There was some BS in that. Them
yeah,
referees
yeah,
was
Yeah.
on one.
there
That,
was also some ticky tack
Yeah.
calls in that game too.
Gentlemen,
I'll
welcome
agree
to the
with
SEC. 2 years ago,
Yeah.
when Alabama played Tennessee in Neyland, do y'all remember that the reffing crew forgot what down it was for Tennessee? They got 5 downs.
Yeah,
Welcome to
I
the
remember that.
SEC. The
Yeah,
officiating is putrid, but I can say that across college football right now, officiating has been bad. Like,
yeah,
Right.
did y'all see Kobe Prentice? They attempted murder on Kobe Prentice this past weekend,
Yep.
and they pulled the targeting call. And if that wasn't the clearest example of targeting on 2
Facts.
players, I don't know what the rule is for.
yeah. That was textbook targeting.
Yeah. Well,
And I'll
just
even
go.
go ahead, Bishop.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, what
Go
I was
ahead.
going to do is just understand to piggyback off of you guys. Just think how much better are we with competitive depth that we were able to go into Jordan O'Hare and actually pull out a win with not
Mhm.
having our best.
Yeah, you are 100% right, Bishop. I mean, you know, one thing, Ty, guys on the panel, I hear this religiously. Good teams win, great teams cover. I'm old school. Great teams find ways to win when you're down by at least 2 scores and you come back and win the game, especially in a hostile environment such as Jordan Hare or Bryant Denny Stadium or the Hedges. I that that is my pet peeve phrase. Good teams win, great teams cover. And that's Forrest Gump would say. That's all I have to say about that.
Right in the fields, because Alabama did neither against Vandy.
We understand. We understand, Ty. We
We,
definitely understand.
we, but what I'm going to be looking for in this game against Texas is I know what Hawk is all about. I know what our defense and secondary is. I know that we got a pretty decent running back core. I'm going to be paying attention to that offensive line and see how we handle Texas's front seven. Guys, elaborate, please.
Yeah, I just think I definitely understand that it's actually a good deal that we had a bye week because they're one of the ones that definitely needed it because it's the first time that they have all the guys back pretty much except for one that's out for the year. But to have them all back and together for this Texas game is huge. So.
What you think, Ty?
I completely agree. Because Texas, let's be honest, they have adjusted better without those 2 interior monsters than I think anybody would have anticipated. In fact, Shoddy's right there. Shout out Shoddy. But Coach I and I, we were on the phone talking about this 2 weeks ago. We were on the phone talking about how we thought that the Texas interior defensive line wouldn't fall off a cliff, but they wouldn't look like they do, right? And don't get me wrong, those 2 guys were massive for that Texas defensive line, but they've certainly mitigated the loss really well. it is imperative that Oklahoma have successful first and second downs, because if you can get into 3rd and 3, your playbook is open. I mean, real open. Whereas if you don't establish a run, if you allow PK to key into what you're doing, that's where it's going to be more difficult to climb out of the hole.
Right. Mike, what you think, brother? He's on us.
I think.
Go ahead, Mike.
I didn't think that the Texas D line would fall off a cliff. There's a lot of. I wasn't worried about the D line. I was more worried about their secondary when they had a little bit of an exodus in the spring portal window. That's what I was worried about, and I want to see us challenge them. I want to see some shots down the field, and I want to see what that secondary is made of.
Me too. And I'm going to give a shout out to JJ Hester, the wide receiver, for he had a hell of a game against Auburn. And the previous games, he wasn't playing up to standards. I'm hoping that Auburn game was kind of like what Jaden Gibson needed. He needed that one game to get a few catches, get his confidence, get him some momentum established. And I hope that JJ Hester, his breakout game, having 3 good catches in that game, I hope that is the game that brought JJ Hester's confidence level back up. What you think, fellas? Ty?
Yeah, I'll start it. You definitely need someone to emerge, right? Like you got to have someone emerge on the outside. And it's so unfortunate because even over on the Bama Standard, before the season started, we were talking about some of the wide receiver rooms in the SEC that as Bama fans, we were like, okay, who do you need to look out for, even if they're not on the schedule? I think of the 5-man panel, 3 of us, including Matt Caddell, who played wide receiver at Alabama, was like, OU, they have got a lot of weapons, and it's the diversity of ability in the room. You've got some guys that are real tall where when you get in the red zone, it's like, okay, just give me a jump ball. If I don't get it, I don't get it. But like I'm 6'5". They're not going to out jump me for this ball. So if I don't get it, it's an incomplete. But you have to have someone emerge, right? And especially a guy like Hester, that's big. But I'm also intrigued to see who emerges outside of JJ Hester to kind of help carry a young quarterback. So that's going to be really big to me, but was very happy for Hester.
Yeah.
I just hope Hester. I just hope Hester doesn't, pull a Petaway, because we thought Petaway was going to do the same thing after the Tennessee game. He had a couple big catches in Auburn. He didn't really do much. And then Hester. So, maybe they both break out. Maybe it's time for a good performance by both of them. But I think the key is going to be our tight end play in the middle of the field. Hopefully we're unlocking some Bauer Sharp down the middle, and I wouldn't be opposed to seeing some Jake Roberts as well. That's quarterback's best friend, tight ends and a good run game. So I think if we can do that, it'll bode well for us.
Yeah, and definitely, and just to piggyback off of that. Oh,
go ahead, Bishop.
No.
Go ahead, sir.
Just to piggyback off of that, just think about it. Now you actually have Texas week where you're already in tune, but now it's on Seth. This is his final exam. You got to let the young man cook. He can handle it. You wouldn't have started him if you think he couldn't. But then on top of that, he has Petaway and others, and it's just a matter of them all syncing together at the right time. And so I think this bye week was the perfect time for them all to sync and to realize, hey, we got something special. We might have not been the starters from the get-go, but hey, competitive depth was our main theme and it was our X factor. So let's hang our hat on it. and let's go ball out.
Right. Right. And I'm gonna say, oh, Shotty has a question. How comfortable you guys think the OC and the head coach are with letting quarterback open up the offense? I think that Brent is okay with it. I said this, and I don't want my Sooner fans to take this the wrong way. I've seen good, bad, and ugly out of Seth's play calling. At times, he calls awesome plays. But sometimes, to me, he acts like he's a little bit scared in his play calling. And I don't mean that scared as in scared. It's scared because he don't want to call the wrong play and have what happened to Jackson Arnold. You know, that's just my feelings.
I think he's conservative. I definitely think he's conservative, and I think once the game is at risk of maybe getting away from him, or they need a big play, open it up. And I would like to see a little bit more jump. And
Yeah.
but I mean, I understand trying to run the ball. I could go without some inside zones, so many inside zones. Maybe let's get some outside zones or some zone reads. But yeah, I do tend to think he's a little on the conservative side.
Yeah, I just think, like I said, I really see this as an opportunity for him to say, okay, young man, we know that you won at Jordan Hare, so it's no doubts no more. It's just a matter of us allowing the full game plan to be implemented, and you go run it. And whatever happens, your defense got your back. So let's go play ball.
Yeah, and Shoddy, if I may as well answer, how comfortable at this point? I don't know that they have an option, right? Like I think at this point, if you're Seth Luttrell, if you're Brent Venables, you've already had a quarterback change. You got the new guy in. Listen, I don't want to speak for anybody, but we know what time it is in college football, right? Alabama just had a guy in Jaheim Otis who I thought was going to be an integral part of the defensive rotation, who's played like, I don't want to give an exact number, but off the top of my head, I think it's like 30 snaps this season. He's entering the transfer portal. Very talented, but he was defensive tackle number 4 to number 5. Guys are going to exercise their right to transfer. And I say that because Hawkins looks to be the future, right? So at this point, I don't know that you have a choice but to open up the playbook and be like, hey,
Right.
And that's not to say do things that aren't good for Hawkins. That's not my point. But
No.
it is to say formulate a game plan and say, hey, we got to spread this out. We got to do more. We have to present more threats to this PK defense. And in doing so, you inevitably open up the playbook a little bit. But that's just the way I view it. Be interested to hear what y'all think about that. I just don't know that at this point you have a choice. Like, go ahead and open it up.
Yeah, I to piggyback off of Ty, I definitely wholeheartedly agree, Ty, that understand Jordan Hare was the audition, but now Texas week is the final exam, and so there's no reason to hold back. He is the starter, and we all know it, and the players know it. So now on that is like trust him to go make the right plays. He's been trained up by Kevin Murray, Kyle Murray's dad, and he's been in every situation known possible. Now put him. He's already been through the fire. He's been coached up with the NFL quarterbacks when he was training. So a lot of that is that cerebral reading defense.
Mr. Frank, I'm going to give you a nickname instead of
You're cutting in and out, Mike.
losing signal. I said I was going to give you a new nickname instead of Bishop. I'm going to give you the Professor. You give a lot of tests and quizzes.
Hey, yeah, well, that's one of those that I believe in the fire test, and Jordan Hare was a fire test for Michael because it was his first start, and we know the preliminary of how a lot of freshman quarterbacks on their first start, it can be rocky because the stage might be bigger than they're ready for, but not for him. He took it and he thrived in it. He actually went to different levels throughout that game. So with that, that offensive coordinator now has to honor that and said, okay, I'm with you, and open it up. He has to, because he has a defense that is very good. I don't know if elite, but understand if you're able to roll in 2 to 3 lines of defense and still keep the same level of play, that means you're very good.
Completely agree. I completely agree. I just don't know at this point that you have a choice, because Oklahoma is in this weird space right now where you're good enough to compete. That's not the question, but you just know that you've been so banged up with injuries, lack of continuity, and certainly the injuries have contributed to the lack of continuity. Remember earlier, we were just talking about the offensive line being a position that needs to gel, and now all of a sudden you have multiple injuries along the offensive line. So it was already going to be something that took a few games to get acclimated to. Now that extends. In the case against Texas, that's why I'm very adamant that if I'm Seth, I'm putting my arm around Hawkins and I'm saying, hey, man, if you make a mistake, you make a mistake. This game is not on you. This game is just about you going out, having a good time, and playing to your ability. There are very few games. I mean, you stay at Oklahoma, you'll play in this game 3 to 4 times. But outside of that, 2 other rivalries that match what you're going to play in Saturday, enjoy it, relish in it, because these opportunities to be in this environment, they don't come every day. So if you make a mistake, all good. Live to fight another down. And when you make a mistake, we'll come over, we'll talk about it. And as long as you're like, yeah, I understand what happened, we're all good. But you got to open it up at some level because listen, as much as Oklahoma is trying to find continuity, Texas has found theirs, and they're not going to hold back any punches.
Hey, Ty, can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we can.
I'm sorry, my internet just got off the tour with Willie Nelson, and it partaked in with Willie Nelson's substance. So,
well, I hope it had a good time.
Oh,
it did. So clue me in, guys. What are we?
No, we were just letting them
What did
know
I miss,
that,
Walt?
no, we were just talking about Shorty had asked a question. Will the Oklahoma OC actually allow young Mike Hawkins, the MLK silencer, to really open up and run the offense, the full offense? And both Ty and myself are saying he has no choice. He passed the test at Jordan Hare. Now it's on him for his final exam for Texas.
Hey, South Texas, I don't have a super chat button yet, brother. But if you want, hey, you're a Texas fan, subscribe, get me to 500, and I'll have super chats, brother. Appreciate you hopping in, man. This is Texas Hate Week. Bring your friends. I welcome all. We're 13 from 500, South Texas. So, and South Texas, if you want to help support the channel, there's my Venmo and my PayPal scrolling across the screen there. But anyway, I heard Bob Stoops the Friday before the Auburn game on our local radio station, KREF. And he didn't say Seth's name, but he did say in that interview that at some point, the conservative play calling is going to have to come to an end, and we're going to have to start taking some shots.
He's got an arm. I mean, he's got a good arm.
Yeah.
Good.
I mean, he proved it against Auburn. That 63-yard pass to Hester was in the bucket. I mean, good God. So, I've always, Ty, and you probably might disagree with me on this, but on offense and defense, I have always been a proponent of aggressive play calling.
Oh my
Live by
gosh.
the sword, die by the sword.
100%.
That's how
100%.
I mean, gamble. And yeah, the analytics is fine, but the analytics ain't sitting there with eyeballs watching the game, you know? I'm not an analytical guy, Ty. I'll be honest. I like a coach who's got a pair of cojones and will go against analytics and well, thank you for the subscription there, South Texas. You're welcome into the chat in anytime, brother. I let y'all in the chat. I don't know how to talk smack. I'm long in the tooth, but I appreciate it, South Texas. But yeah, that's what I loved about Mark Mangino when he was offensive coordinator at OU. He was aggressive. I mean, he took chances, and I want to see that back. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the thing about it is, with what we have, and I commend all coaching staff, is that we are one Oklahoma, one family, one heartbeat. And so with that, now it's to put it on the line and, let Texas know we never flinch. Sooners will never flinch. Period.
I tell you what, I always love the Red River rivalry, whether you're a Sooner or a Texas fan. This game brings out more passionate players. I would say it would be second to the Iron Bowl between Alabama and Auburn, if you was to put truth serum in it, because Texas fans is just as passionate as OU fans. But at the end of the day, I will be honest with you. If Texas plays Southern Cal or anybody, I'm a Texas fan. So, I mean, I have been known to show love to the Horns. I mean, but I love this game. I love the passion. I love the pageantry that this game holds. And I just, win or lose, I just hope we see a great ball game played between two historic programs.
I think you can count on that. It's the nature of the rivalry. I mean, how many times, gentlemen? Yeah. Great example. Last year, and then the Bryce Young Iron Bowl when it was at Jordan-Hare. And by the way, Jordan-Hare is a tough place to play, because I think that one of the things that the SEC has over the Big 12, and gentlemen, if I'm wrong, because I don't have the numbers on this, so this is just, I think that the stadiums are way bigger in the SEC. You have Bryant-Denny that's over 100,000, Neyland that's over 100,000. You have all these massive stadiums, but in these rivalry games, conventional wisdom goes out the window. And this is one of them. It doesn't matter what happened going into this game. It doesn't matter what happened. It's a blank slate. That's what makes it beautiful. Blank slate.
Yeah. What makes it beautiful. Yeah. And Bishop and Mike knows me, and you know me, Ty, that if OU gets beat, I'll be on my podcast the next day. Hey, hats off to you, Texas. Great win. I leave the smack talking for the fans. I'm old school. I say, let the game play, let the fourth quarter end, and see what the score is on the scoreboard. Well, there's Mike. Glad to see your smiling face, sir.
The boogeyman.
And I tell you what, I'm going to brag on Mike Jr. for a minute. That pancake on that 300-pound Auburn offensive lineman was a thing of beauty.
Yeah, he comes to play hard, man. And whether it's a 300-pounder or whether it's a running back, he's gonna strike. He's gonna deliver a blow.
And and Mike, Sooner Nation got tickled at me last year when Boogeyman officially became a Sooner. I said in Jason's chat and every chat that even the last name of Boganowski reeks football.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I see things, chats, and everybody's like Boganowski. That's a Polish surname, and everybody's kind of confused, because he's a mixed kid, but it always makes me chuckle when they see
Yeah.
they say Boganowski and they're just confused.
But hey, Mike, I gotta ask you right quick. How's Mama Bo doing?
She's doing good.
I know I'm her.
Yeah, she's doing good. She's up there in Nebraska living a retired life. Yeah, we had a death in the family last week, so that was a little rough. But everybody's doing pretty good now.
Well, I'm sorry for your loss, Mike. Ty, Mike's mama is I'm her number one fan now after my F-bomb drop during the Tennessee.
Love to see it.
But anyway, guys, getting back to the game. Ty, you have been saying since OU played their first game that Danny Stutzman is playing possessed. And I agree with that. But Ty, agree with me. You don't have to agree with me, but our defense was a little bit not underwhelmed, but they showed weakness. But Ty, our defense up to that Auburn game had to play their asses off, and they was as good as I do, and you guys on the panel that football not only is physical, but it's also mental. And I feel that OU defense against Auburn that Saturday, they was mentally spent.
Yeah, it gave the of that.
Yeah, what you think, Ty?
Yeah, there's a little feedback, Mike. So you might have to, especially on your phone. There's always the feedback. Might have to mute your mic in between.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll mute it.
But I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised because whenever we look at Alabama, the defense was on the field a disproportionate amount of the time. In the second half against Georgia, you go into Vandy, the defense is on the field a disproportionate amount of the time. And come the fourth quarter, like I was in my chat texting with Coach Sean with all the guys, and I was saying, do I have faith that they're going to get a stop? And my answer was no, not because of talent. They're gassed. They are gassed. And so when Oklahoma continues to evolve the offense, get things acclimated, it will inevitably help the defense because it's more pressure being taken off them. They can play with a bit more fluidity, a bit more freedom. So I completely agree. But listen, as much as I love Stutz, and I love that he came back, you can't not love football and not like Danny Stutzman. I don't care if you're a Longhorns fan. Right, that dude just reeks of middle linebacker. I mean, just what you want in a middle linebacker, boom, there it is. Unbelievable to watch him play. All that being said, your linebacking group outside of him is still really, really, really good. And I mean, you can ask Jay of Unfair Sports. I have been a Kip Lewis fan from before he was playing. And I remember telling Jay, I watched the spring game for OU when he first got there, and I said, I'd be playing that young man alongside of him because that young man is a crash out in the most respectful way possible, right? Like a reckless abandon for his body. He's going to go in there and make someone feel him. much like Boganowski, right? Like that kid right there in the most is a crash out in terms of somebody gets the ball and he's going to say, oh, you want to catch it against me? You want to come against me? I'm going to make you feel it. So the next time they throw you the ball, before you ever catch it, you're in your mind are like, wait, where's this cat at? Because I might touch the ball and just get smoked. Kip is that type. OU's defense has a lot of those guys on it. And to me, that is such a great thing to have, especially in these young players, because not only do you understand form tackling, which, gentlemen, let's be honest, that's an art that's being lost, is form tackling. So when you have a young man that knows how to form tackle, but also knows when I need to lay you out, I'm going to put you on the turf. That is a very, very big thing to the energy of a defense.
I totally agree. You got to understand. We have you got Boganowski, Powers, Hardy, RSJ. That secondary is filled. And the thing is, when they come in, there's no drop off. And it's very special to have at OU at this time. There's no doubt. We're in the very special era.
Yeah, I, for the past 2 decades, have been begging for OU to have some sort of defense. And seeing this defense this year, I am relishing in it because let's just address it, fellas. I come from the days of the Selmans, Zach Henderson, Randy Hughes. I mean, I could go on and on. And let me tell you something. Them legends are smiling at our defense right now. And what the defense also holds in the future. Now, I am not worried at all about the offense because, Ty, you brag on Bill Beadenbow consistently. And we still have Big Bill in our hip pocket. And Big Bill will have that offensive line humming. And you said it right, Ty. He'll come toward after midseason, toward the end of the season, that O-line will be humming. Trust me. And I just think that whatever the football gods has for OU lined out this Saturday, so be it. But OU has a lot of talent on that offensive line that Bill Beadenbow can work with. And I'll let y'all elaborate.
Yeah, I'm not one to doubt old Bill Beanbo. Bill Beanbo has proven his track record is unmatched. He gets dudes paid, in league. And we're a little banged up. We got some moving pieces or whatever, but hopefully all that stuff's settled. And I think you're going to see a different team this week in Texas and moving forward. Knock on wood, we all stay healthy and we pound that rock and get back to running the rock. As Sooner fans are accustomed to. But gents, I got to roll. Got 15 minutes till game time, so I got to go in there and get set up so I can get my video. It was a pleasure being with y'all. Made that little 2-hour trip go quick. Pleasure meeting y'all. Pleasure meeting you, Ty.
Good to meet you as well.
And,
all right, y'all be cool,
and Mike,
man.
say hello to Mama. Mike, say hello to Mama Bogue for me.
Yeah, I sure will. All right, y'all be good.
All right.
Y'all be good. You too. All right. But Ty, I'm going to elaborate on something you said in one of your videos in the early season. You said that Alabama should something ever happen to Bill Beadenbow, Alabama would lick their chops to have him at Bama. Did you not say that, sir?
Yeah, I have a surprising had right? And I haven't seen it in a while. I had a surprising amount of OU fans in my comments saying like, "Fire Bill Bedenbaugh," and my point was, whenever that happened, I was just like, you do realize that like you're firing him would be a great thing for college football. Like teams would call. And Steven's right. Whenever Bama was going to hire an offensive line coach, they sent feelers around. Bill Bedenbaugh was one of the guys where they reached out and said, "Hey, are you interested in interviewing for the position?" He said no. But fire him at your own discretion. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. Go ahead, Bishop.
Yeah. The simple fact is that hey, he's been proven. His students are developed, and when they get to the NFL, they show dividends, and that speaks louder than words.
Exactly. Well, gentlemen, we've been going almost an hour and a half. I've got chores to do. Ty, thank you so much, my good friend, for taking time out of your busy day to join us on my show. You have an open invite on this show anytime, my friend. Bishop, you're always on the show with me and Mike.
Yes.
I just drop you a link, you jump in. Ty, tell everybody where they can find you, my brother.
Yeah, unfortunately for y'all, you can find me anywhere with a microphone that allows me to rant. I'm on the Bama Standard. I'm on the SEC Connect. I'm on Around the Table Sports. I'm on Bleacher Report. So wherever they allow me a platform.
Guys, if y'all's not already subscribed to Ty Hayes at Around the Table Sports, this young man not only is knowledgeable with Alabama, but college general in the whole. He's already had Josh Pate make a beautiful comment on Twitter about his show. So guys, y'all go over and check out Ty, subscribe to him, support him, and also I picked up 2 more subs from Texas fans. Guys, appreciate it. And if y'all love college football, especially OU Sooners, hop over, give me a like, give me a subscribe. I'm constantly doing content, and this is the legend from all of us at Sooner Legends Podcast. Ty Hayes, Bishop Frank, we thank y'all very much for joining in. This is the legend. We'll see you on the backside. God bless, and Boomer Sooner.
Boomer.
Sooner.
Roll Tide.